President Ford reluctantly signed the measure, known as the Rule of Law Arms Embargo. Its sponsors considered the embargo a major moral victory for American foreign policy.
The morality and the justice of this cause are so clear that what's really at stake are very basic principles with respect to the American foreign policy. And I always said to groups, because, you know, we would get this charge about, quote, the Greek lobby, unquote. This was really an American lobby for American principles and American values that many in this country regard as fundamental to how we conduct our foreign policy.
Unfortunately, Washington's actions did little to improve the situation on the ground in Cyprus. An estimated 170,000 Greek Cypriots were forced from their homes and businesses in the north. Turkey began a rapid resettlement, reportedly bringing over 1,500 settlers a week from Turkey in violation of the Geneva Convention.
You find Turkish settlers from the deep Anatolian plateau who don't dress in modern clothes, whose whole viewpoint is rather on the medieval side. And those people, some of them are from minority groups inside Turkey, and Turkey has put pressure on them to get out, to go someplace else.
They're changing the culture of the North, and if you get Turkish Cypriots to speak honestly to you, they worry about being absorbed into Turkish politics, and the North really is controlled by the Turkish army.
Greek Cypriot homes and property were taken and handed over to the settlers and Turkish Cypriots. To date, more than 160,000 Turks have been settled in northern Cyprus.
Το φύγαμε από τα σπίτια μας και ήρθαν οι Τούρκοι λαρού μας. Μιλάμε και πιάμεναμε. Ήταν που καθένας τι έχει το σπίτι του, τον οικοκυρκό του. Και τώρα πέφτω χαμέ και δεν μπορώ. Θέλουμε να πάμε σπίτι μας, βαρεθήκαμε. Θέλουμε να πάμε έσω μας.
A year after the Turks invaded, a group of displaced women formed a protest march called Women Walk Home for a United Cyprus. Titina Loizidou joined this march.
A group of women decided to demonstrate the fact that women could not go back to their homes. So we mobilized about 30,000 women who, in a very peaceful way, started marching towards Famagusta. The idea was to go into the occupied part, to walk home to Famagusta, which is a city under Turkish occupation since 1974. It's a city which was abandoned, its inhabitants fled as the Turkish troops were entering, and it's a city which is a ghost town. And by walking there, we wanted to say we come home. So the United Nations, who are in Cyprus a peacekeeping force, they are in between the Turkish invading troops and the free area of the Republic, stopped us and we could not go further.
A solution to the Cyprus problem has remained elusive. The apparent indifference of the United States to the illegal Turkish occupation has remained constant, with the exception of the rule of law arms embargo imposed by Congress. But soon after the election of Jimmy Carter, even that was short-lived.
President Carter asked us to lift the arms embargo on Turkey. I think he must have been under pressure from some of the people in the Department of Defense or elsewhere. And as there had been no advance whatsoever on removing Turkish troops from Cyprus or Turkish settlers from Cyprus.
I think once he got in there was a lot of pressure that came to bear from the security establishment within the government, the Pentagon, the intelligence community, and so forth. We had these listening facilities in Turkey that were directed towards the Soviet Union. that security establishment has always given a high geostrategic value to Turkey, given its location and so forth.
Despite a campaign pledge to find a Cyprus solution based on the rule of law, once in office, Jimmy Carter called the repeal of the embargo his highest foreign policy priority. After close votes in the House and Senate, the embargo was indeed lifted in the fall of 1978. This despite the fact that Turkey still occupied nearly 40% of Cyprus. Turkey's access to U.S. arms was fully restored. In 1983, with its military still occupying the northern third of the island, Turkey created the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. The UN Security Council, European Union, and United States Congress all immediately condemned the action. The Turkish Northern Republic is recognized only by Turkey. The rest of the world recognizes the sovereignty of the Republic of Cyprus over the entire island. Since the 1980s, while on the campaign trail, one presidential candidate after another expressed the urgency of solving the Cyprus issue. But once elected to office, the president relegates the issue to mid-level bureaucrats, where it languishes. Nevertheless, people affected by the issue continued to make their voices heard.
In the last march of March '89, actually it was called the Journey to Freedom, I was seized by the Turkish troops and then detained for 10 hours, along with other women. Being unarmed, obviously, we were no threat. It was very ironic that within our country we were seized for violating or trespassing the so-called Turkish Northern Republic of Cyprus, which is controlled by the Turkish troops.
Most officials in Washington simply wish the Cyprus problem would go not only on the back burner but off the stove entirely. They don't want to deal with the problem. It brings up a lot of unpleasant issues. It creates tensions in the relationship between Washington and Ankara.
A major legal victory occurred in the mid-1990s when the European Court of Human Rights of the Council of Europe rendered judgments in favor of displaced Greek Cypriots.
A few weeks after, I found out that Turkey had signed Article 25, which allowed individuals to file applications for deprivation of human rights. And I felt that this was a good opportunity for me to express my wish that I would be restored my human right to be in Kyrenia, where I come from. I found out that I felt that the property I had in Kyrenia reflected my life in Kyrenia. It reflected my family life, not only my family life, but the quality of being in the place where I grew up and I wanted to be.
The court ruled that Turkey has illegally excluded the rightful owners from their property in Turkish-occupied Cyprus. Because it is a member of the Council of Europe, Turkey is bound by the court's decision.
The decision of the court was that Turkey is responsible for whatever is happening in the northern part of Cyprus, because Turkey exercises full control with the presence of 40,000 troops.
The court awarded Titina Loizidou over $1 million in compensation for the loss of the use of her property in Karinya.
I felt very pleased. I felt pleased that this case did not only reflect justice, but also I was pleased that Cypriots could see the future bringing justice to Cyprus. I felt that I was very pleased that a system allowed me to come as far as having a judgment.
Titina's case has paved the way for similar judgments in other property disputes.
They want to go back to their homes. Many of them would actually go back to a small piece of land as long as they had sort of a piratia where they could live.
People have lost their homes. People have had their assets taken away from them. People have had to live not knowing whether they'd ever be able to return home. And I know that a lot of people here in the United States feel that pain. I feel it in my Cypriot American friends.